Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Earlier this morning, I made a video, I uploaded it, and I was talking about Miss Vicky Nuland's visit in Niger, where she, according to my assessment, she threatened those guys over there and warned them that if they don't do what these guys say, and if they cooperate and do anything with the Wagner group over there, there might be some... Well, now I have another guy saying the same thing, and it's not that I necessarily believe him just because he fits my narrative or my assessment. Maybe I should not call it a narrative, because my narrative is made by my assessment based on evidence and historical facts. So let's see what's going on here in this article coming from Sputnik, where we have a former CIA veteran saying the same thing. Victoria Nuland went to Niger, spoke with these guys that yesterday didn't recognize them as being a nobody, went over there and, according to this guy, probably threatened the guys. It was a difficult meeting, according to Nuland, that tells the veteran, the CIA veteran, that they didn't agree with her. And I found out reading this little Sputnik article, that the US has, I think, 4 military bases in that country, with about 1,000 military presence, troops, the same as they have in Syria. In Syria, they are, I think, illegally deployed. Here, it seems like they are legally deployed. The problem is, once these guys get in your country, it's kind of hard to get rid of them. All right, kind of hard. So let's see what this veteran is saying. Sputnik, CIA veteran, Nuland's Niger trip meant to, quote unquote, intimidate, threaten new government. Well, I don't want to use this kind of words in my little, how do you call it, right here. I just said, well, Max Victoria visit warns. I said warns. I was nicer because I was on YouTube, and I was really afraid that this message or this article and this video will not get to you if I use threaten. But hey, this guy is free to say it, and I'm just going to quote him because that's his assessment. So, Niger's government was overthrown by the military last month. On Monday, Victoria Nuland met with members of the new government for talks. What does the arch-neocon's visit mean for the West African nation's future? Sputnik spoke to CIA and State Department veteran Larry Johnson for answers. Now, I don't mean that Larry is all-knowing or he's the good guy or anything like that, but let's see what he says. And since I came to the same conclusion, he must be a good guy. Acting Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland, traveling to Niamey, Niger, and met with acting Nigerian Defense Chief Musa Salou Barmou and his deputies on Mondays for what she later described as, quote-unquote, extremely frank and at times quite difficult talks. That means, Frank, we're going to come and fuck you up. And the guy said, oh, so what? So that's where it became difficult. It was frank when she threatened them, and it was difficult when they say, so, let me unzip it. You can be first. Oh my. All right, let's go. The visit coming one day after the deadline set forth by the Economic Community of West African States. All right, these guys are trying to blackmail them. They're the US's hand in the whole thing over there. I don't know. The new authorities to cede power back to President Mohamed Bazoum or face a military intervention was unusual in the previous military takeovers and takeover attempts in the landlocked West African nation in 2021, 2010, 1999, and 1996. Did not see anywhere near the same level of attention from high-ranking Western officials. And I'm quoting, "I hope they will keep the door open to diplomacy. We made that proposal," end quote, Nuland told media after the talks. And I'm quoting again, "Their ideas do not comport with the Constitution. And that would be difficult in terms of our relationship if that's the path that they take. But we gave them a number of options." So you see, your boss gave you some options over here to keep talking, and we hope they take us up on that, she added, referencing to the demands by the ECOWAS as well as friends, the US and the European Union, that the military government yields power back to the civilian president. Almost 80% of Nigerians support military takeover leaders. So I wanted to make an article or video on that one, but I will just read this. It's a very interesting article, by the way. Sending a message. Sending her, I'm quoting, sending her on that kind of visit is designed to send a message that this is a high priority for the United States. And I think she was hoping basically to intimidate the coup leaders and threaten them. Let them know that the United States would not let this pass and hang over their heads the threat of an invasion or military action, end quote, Johnson said. I agree. And I'm quoting, "The fact that she comes out and says it was a difficult meeting, a tough meeting, means I think that Nigerian coup leaders, the current government, refused to acquiesce to her demands," end quote, the Observer added. The US, this is important, not that everything as all I said wasn't, but this is something I didn't know. The US, which has about 1,100 troops and at least 4 military bases in Niger, has been barred from using its $110 million drone launching facility built in 2019 in the wake of the military takeover. Barred by whom? By the coup members? In her comments Monday, Nuland said she and the Nigerian counterparts went into, quote-unquote, considerable detail about the risks to aspects of our cooperation that Defense Chief Barmu has historically cared about a lot, end quote, characterizing the U.S. military presence as a situation Niger finds itself as one where the camel already has its nose under the tent and very well could fully insert itself. Johnson said that, and I'm quoting, "the possibility of U.S. military action is high because Niger's military cannot be characterized as a peer adversary." And I'm quoting, "It's not Russia, and so the United States prefers to beat up on the weaker countries." Totally agree. He said, but the thing is, they like to beat up on weaker countries with a coalition, so not even alone. But hey, we'll find out what's going on. So I didn't know that they had 1,100 troops over there. Danger of regional conflict as West influences fades. Johnson believes the current crisis is related to the growing frustration in the US and friends that their positions in Africa are being threatened by rising powers, including Russia. And I'm quoting, "If you go back over just the recent history of Niger, over the last 20 years, Niger appeared preeminently in 2001 because of yellow cake uranium. That is, it was allegedly smuggled to Saddam Hussein. Allegedly. That turned out to have been a lie. There have been multiple coups in Niger since then, and at no time did the United States feel compelled to try to intervene or threaten the coup leader of those previous efforts to, restore the original government that they overthrew. I think what we're seeing is a play out of Russia's growing influence in the region. The United States and the Friends are doing all they can to try to retain the colonial control that has been in place for close to 100 years. The Nigerians and the people of Mali and Burkina Faso are both standing up and saying, okay, we've had enough. We're no longer going to be under the thumb of the West. Nuland is trying to stop that, but I don't think she can, end quote, he said. So this is it, my friends. You can also find the article if you really want to look at the other details over there. The point is, they do the same as they always, not always, predominantly did in the past 30 years. I'm talking about the United States diplomacy. Their toolbox has 4 tools. They forgot, the brains, they forgot the negotiation methods, the arguing and, rhetoric and anything else, or anything that would imply, give and take. Why? Because they got this, the biggest, and they say we're going to get it. So the first one is, as I always say, is threats, the first tool. The second one is blackmail. The third one is a spontaneous uprising turned into a regime change, and if that doesn't work, you get the fourth one, so fourth step, which is invasion, or simply we're gonna restore orders, bring freedom and democracy. Okay? Like the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are trying to liberate people. They don't want to liberate it. That's very strange. They want to liberate Crimea, but the Crimeans don't want to get liberated by the Ukrainians. Very interesting. And not only Crimea. So here you have it, my friends, and I am 99% certain that that's exactly what Vicky Nuland did visiting Niger. I said it in the previous video earlier this morning, and I continue to think that she is that kind of person that came with a toolbox, opened it, and started with the first one, the second one. I said, okay, we'll see you. We're going to skip the third one. We're going to go to the fourth one. I'm not supporting the... personally, I don't care. Let's start with this one. I don't care. That's their business over there, what they do in their country. I don't like when other countries come from outside and say, no. You have to abide by this kind of rules. And we're going to tell you, we keep you, hold you accountable to that. Ping, get up, out. But somehow these moralizers, because they were appointed and voted as being moralizers of this planet, come everywhere and stick their fucking nose and say, hey, you know what, you don't do that right, you don't do that right, if you don't do it the way... But they are perfect. They are perfect. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. Look what happened to Trump. Justice at work. Not only Trump. Look what happened in Seattle. What, in 2020? Wasn't that? Or anyway, it was. What happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and so on. What if the Chinese would have come, or I don't know, Burkina Faso would have stepped in and say, oh, wait a second, hold on, time out, what's going on here? Only these moralizers have the moral authority to go over there and bring peace, because they are the only ones who dropped atomic bombs over civilians, but hey, still they have the moral authority. Anyway, maybe that's why the Russians are trying to hold on to that one, because of that. They don't want to be next to these guys as being the peacekeepers of this planet. Don't get me wrong, it's not that the Russians are good and the Americans are bad. I don't like when they tell me that these guys are only good and the other ones are only bad. I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that stupidity, toddler kind of mentality, or childish, infantile. That's what bothers me. I mean, this is the greatest country in the world, still, I think. But the problem is these guys are fucking it up, and I don't like that a bit. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.